up all night, stay up all night with me. We'll go up to the roof and dance beneath the stars.
Say think, everybody. Test, test, 1, 2. Test, test. Lynn, you sure you don't want to be in it? I'm a little nervous. Alright, guys. Welcome back to episode 2 of Trauma on the Rocks. Okay, this is going to be a heavy episode. And just think, I've had 7 months to produce this episode, and I want to generally thank anybody and everybody who's watched that video. I didn't think anybody other than my best friend Logan and Amanda would watch it, and watches as of like the last recording. I try not to check it. So it's more than just hyperfixation. I've been talking about this podcast for oh god, years it seems like, and I like any project that was never good enough for me, and now I'm finally in a place in my life professionally and privately where I just have the confidence to do it now. So thank everybody for the comments, the shares, the kind words. I also, part of my healing journey is getting off social media. So if I'm late getting back, I'm gonna try to get in the habit just to check Trauma on the Rocks of social media. But yeah, thank everybody. I want to thank you. I'm trying to get my cat over here because this is a heavy episode. Tater tots in her bed, pouting. Aslan. Okay, here we go. Oh, I'm sorry, I almost forgot. My drink tonight is a Sprite Zero or whatever the new thing is, and not spiked. I just lost interest in alcohol. We'll get to that in another episode. Okay, guys. This episode is called The Storm. Every storm in my childhood. Let's get into segment 1. It's called The Tanning Story. It's an inside joke with a few of you people you hear about later on, and probably continue to hear about. I gotta think of cute little names for them. I haven't came up with it yet. But I was maybe 7 or 8. Christy and my mom, we met Christy the storm. I was 7 or 8. You know Christy, we talked about her in the last episode, my mom. Her and her friend would sometimes sneak out to go tan. This is really some of my first developmental memories, if we're being honest. I'm not crying, I'm sweating. I turned off all air for you guys so you could hear me loud and clear. A, quality products. So sometimes they left me to babysit, and sometimes they would have my best friend, her daughter ended up being my best friend throughout life. Her aunt babysitting us, and we're gonna call her Bronco. I know her name because we'll get to that later. But sometimes when they left, we would pretend to be asleep. We wasn't asleep, and I think that's where my fear of the dark came from. Now I live in downtown Columbus, so I'm not really that scared of the dark anymore. I overcame that fear fast, but the house was dark and quiet, and you could really hear every creak and crack. It was an older house. We'd play quietly in the living room, trying to distract each other from the silence. Every creak, every whisper, like I said, outside felt like a warning. My chest would tighten. Do you know that feeling? My mind would race, and I realized sometimes kids have to take care of themselves. It's a sad reality, and I try every day and hope and pray that that no longer becomes an issue in the future of the world. Look at me talking like a pageant queen. Let me stick to my script. But even in that fear, there was adventure sneaking around. The adults weren't home. I was the oldest. Gosh, they're younger than me by 5 to 4 years. But we would always play and make up games. I remember that dark basement, and just it was an escape, and that was a good memory. And I can overstate this. Those nights taught me responsibility way too young, way too young. That's what we're going to talk about in this episode. Um, The kids sometimes have to be adults, like I said earlier. They also they pause, drink. Now science backs this up. I only understood later studies on hypervigilance, and I should be in the CIA. Recruit me, please, guys. I shouldn't say that out loud. Hypervigilance show that children who grow up in unpredictable homes often develop an acute awareness of every sound, every moment. It can be exhausting, it really can. I really hope you guys cannot hear the loudest dang street I moved to in Columbus other than High Street. It's wild. Oh, speak of the devil. I hope this quality's good. Oh, I didn't even check. Anyways, guys, we get 500 views. I'm going on tour. Let's get back into this. Let's take a breath for a moment. So we're going to talk about joys and anchors, and we're going to talk about friendships that last. We'd run barefoot, me and that friend and my sister, in her backyard, splash in the little blow-up pool, I think it was. Later on, we would swim in her grandma's pool. Got great memories as an adult and as a child with her in the pool. And horses, we'll get to that later. We also played on her mom's waterbed. It's a vivid memory for me. These are really joyful anchors, and this family, I can't get emotional. I took medicine before this. This family still shapes me to this day. I really had to distance myself from that whole self of mine just to heal. And now I'm slowly getting back in. So I'm excited to rebuild these friendships and lifelong family bonds that, ADHD and dyslexia and childhood trauma caused. Let's get back into it. Even for a few hours, like I said, those memories gave me a sense of security I didn't always have at home. They reminded me life could be good, even only briefly. Those safe places were my first lessons in resilience. Even as a kid, I knew the world could be harsh, but I also knew if you looked for them, pockets of joy existed. And I am still like this today in my professional life. If you only knew what I did. Researchers call these positive childhood experiences a counter ACE. A 2019 study in a JAMA Pediatrics found that simple things, laughter, I make people laugh and I love to laugh. It's been a healer for me. Um, Play, safe spaces can dramatically reduce a long term impact of trauma. Those pool afternoons weren't just fun, they were protective. Now, take a second and remember a safe place from your childhood. Picture it clearly, the sounds, the smells, the people you were with. That's your anchor, too. I want you to hold that with me as we step into the next storm that comes next. Trigger warning also for just narcissistic behavior. Sorry, trauma mechanism I'm working on. This segment is called The Storm, Tony and Kay Incident. I was 9. We were living on Sandhill Road, a small trailer. Grandma Kay was out shopping with my Uncle Tony. We'll talk about him later. He shaped a big part of my childhood. Um, Anyways, they were out shopping, and my mother and her, I'm guessing, is at this point in active addiction. I really don't know when it started. We'll get to that in later episodes. Um, she had dropped my sister and her friend, which they were the same age, off, and her friend, Christiana, the Storm, um, Christy, left to go. I don't, God knows where to do. We were there alone for hours talking about the abandonment, the noises. I'm older now. My heart is racing. Just think about your heart racing and being a 9-year-old in charge of 2 kids, thinking your worst thought is they're going to die. That's your thought. Your sister's going to die. The house is going to burn down. Grandma came home. He froze when he saw us. He instantly knew in that hypervigilance. I knew exactly what was about to go down. I don't even know if cell phones were a thing then. I think my dad was, I don't know where my dad was working then. He must, we're not gonna say, but my dad worked nights, so maybe that was it. I don't know. That time is fuzzy. We're still working on that. But somehow I got a hold of my dad. Somehow I got back to Christy in town or wherever she was at. That she needed to get home. So you gotta think this trailer is tiny. We're all me, my grandma, my dad, my mom, my sister are living in this tiny trailer. There's chairs everywhere in the kitchen. You can hear this Jeep that Christy's driving, zooming up the driveway, and my heart again is racing. She busts in the door and she just says, "No one tells me how to," sorry, YouTube, "fucking raise my kids." And I knew then the script had switched, and it was because I've already seen her before this start to lie a little bit, and me catching on and being into pattern recognition thanks to my trauma. I knew she was flipping it. She lunged at my Uncle Tony, which I loved with all my heart, and he had to defend himself and push her, and he had to run out the house because she was going to call the cops and get him arrested for felony assault or something. It was wild. My grandma, it was too young of kids to see. Okay, yeah, we'll get there later on, okay? So we got there. So let's get, that night taught me what real protection looked like, what false narratives sound like. Tony wasn't perfect. He had his own demons, like I spoke about earlier. We'll do a whole episode because I love him with my whole heart. But in that chaos, he became my anchor, and he was always my anchor from when I was in first memories with him. Now, here's the research. Give some perspective. Psychologists call this twisting in reality gaslighting. Children who experience it often struggle to separate truth from manipulation. And yet, even one protective adult can change that trajectory. I had multiple in my life, family and non-family. A child's life, and I attribute it to where my success today. I always say once I make my millions from my book tour, everyone will be blessed that got me here. The CDC Adverse Childhood Experience Study found that one supportive relationship can buffer against depression, addiction, and long-term health effects. That was Tony for me. Take a moment with me. Think about an anchor in your life. Someone who steadied you when the world would get too tough on you. You know, I don't know if I spoke about it on this podcast or another one. That I would daydream as a kid going to kindergarten that the whole world would stop, and I think it was my brain just needed to stop, and it would just be me, and I'd just explore the whole day by myself. But yeah, take a moment and think about someone who steadies you. When the road gets rough, hold on to that image. That's the survival. That's what it looks like. Those people help you survive. Let's get on to segment 4. Just have talked long enough, I think. Whew, I needed some tea. Let's say a prayer for Christy. For real. And last my private eye, which is Amanda, says she's in Nevada. But let's just pray she's clean and sober, and she gets the help that she needs. I've always wished that for her. Anyways, let's get back. I've always got to give the blessings when they're needed. And we'll get to my spiritual journey in another episode also. Anywho, these experiences shaped me. ADHD and dyslexia, they weren't recognized in my childhood, but I held on to those anchors. Tony, my dad's routines, joyful afternoons in the backyard, they were lifelines I grabbed onto. Over time, I learned a few lessons about recovery. First, naming your trauma. Saying it out loud is the first step. I have abandonment issues. 100%. I am currently seeking a therapist to start dating again. We'll do it. That may be a whole segment. I'll have to have someone come on to do my Bumble. Whew. Okay, I'm getting high. I can't even talk about intimacy. Another issue. Name those traumas. Name those traumas. If you feel comfortable, name them in the comments. Or name anything you want in the comments. It's a free space. No hate, no judgment. Always, if you don't know me, I would hope you know me by now. I'm sharing this story with you, and I'm very easy to talk to that I hear. And I love talking. I could always, in every meeting I'm in at work, I'm always like, I can talk to the wall. Do you need space filled up? Anyways, I'm Chatty Cathy tonight. Oh. Okay, we claimed our trauma. Third, let's find our anchors, peoples, hobbies, rituals, anything that keeps us grounded. For me then, it was Tony's protection or even freedom, or that waterbed, or the summer with my best friend and her family in those afternoons up until, I think the last time we saw each other was a few years ago. We need plans soon. But see, as I'm also learning, as I'm healing, I dropped the ball in a lot of this communication, and I just emotionally could not handle everything. I was a people pleaser, and I had to be at 10 places at once, and it just got overbearing, and I had to lock myself in 2 apartments and become healthy. And now, hopefully, this is going to be a bi-weekly or once a month podcast. We'll see how it picks up. And hell, by December, maybe a tour. We'll do a tour of Columbus, maybe. Anyways, let's get back into it. Okay, you found your safe places and your anchors. Now, reflection. Like I said, I'm going to therapy here in a little bit. I know my weaknesses now. Communication, 100%. And when someone starts to get too close, I run. I've had so many people in my life that I love. I've had a lot of bad people in my life, so don't get that confused. Nobody watching. Don't get that confused. Okay, you know me. Reclaiming the truth meant recognizing when narratives were twisted. Like the night when my mom flipped the story on Uncle Tony, I knew the truth. And every time I've named it since, every time I've spoken it out loud, Christy lied. Lied. These go through legal screenings, by the way. Anyway, I am feeling myself this episode because of the response from the last episode. I want to thank everybody, and I hope you can see that the Cody that people that personally know me, and hopefully people that's watching will get to know me. This is the Cody I've always been searching for. And I believe there is an end to your healing journey, and I'm getting really, really close. I just need to fix those communications and that abandonment relationship issues and intimacy. That'll be on Patreon.
Stay up all night, stay up all night with me. We'll go up to the roof